I'm kind of high. Like, I see it just, woo. I'm not going to jump right into that. Honey, Campeche. I guess that's how you say. Oh, you like the music? Praise the Lord. That is Be Blessed. Um, Sometimes when, because I love gospel jazz, sometimes the jazz version of it, you know that the song is familiar, but it's like, um, it tastes like regular honey. You know that it's jazz, but it's like, what is that? That sounds familiar. I mean, I'm telling you, if you want to learn some Spanish, spend some time. And I remember my middle school, as I'm waiting for my tea to speak, my middle school Spanish teacher told her, and he spent time in Guatemala, he told us if you really want to learn any language, spend a little time in that particular country. And then you'll really get it. Yeah. You know, with Royalty with the King, we like to talk about things that is going to help us keep our temple together, help us keep our temple straight. I got to tell you something. I don't know what to attribute it to, but I'm going to tell you some things I've noticed since being on this island. I've noticed that it's customary only to have air, air conditioning in the bedrooms. And then you pretty much don't have it anywhere else. And if you could see, I got the door open, the patio, and it's right off the ocean. So most people, when they live on the beach, they want that ocean breeze coming through. The ocean breeze is really nice. Like it's really cool. And so you really don't understand how hot it is. So earlier today, I had me a glass of water, and I mean, I put me some ice in that glass. And it wasn't too long. Like, normally when you're home and you're in an air conditioned environment, even if I was in the back in the room and I had air conditioning, it probably lasted a little longer. Probably after 10 minutes, the ice was completely melted. Now, the water was still very cold. The ice had completely melted. And I had to realize it's because there's no humidity. There's no humidity. It's just heat. And so, where I'm from, Maryland, we get humidity and we get heat. And if it weren't for the humidity, you wouldn't be so miserable. So that was something I noticed earlier. And then this morning when I was making the egg yolk was orange. It was like a bold orange. And I'm like, what, at home they kind of yellow. So, what's kind of going on here? So I said all that to say, I think we need to start eating more organic foods. I had a really big fall earlier this year in February, and this is just showing you how what you put in your body can impact your body. It can heal your body. If that ocean gets too loud, somebody just comment, because them waves is going off. This must be like their fall. It's still hot, but it's cooler than it has been this whole time. I've been here since early October. Um, yeah, so the waves I've noticed are really, and we're coming to the end of their hurricane season, end of November. So the waves are really big. They've been kind of heaping and jumping. But I had a big fall in February in the inner thigh, like right there at my hip. I had calcium buildup because it was starting. I had like symptoms like I had arthritis, and it was hard to get up. If I sat down for too long, it was hard to move and all that stuff. Since I've been here, whatever I'm not eating, and I got to figure out what it is that I'm not eating. I'm gonna make me a list this weekend to find out what is it that I have not eaten in the last month because my leg feels better. I have more range of motion. It's not that I haven't felt like I'm old or any of that. So I just want to replicate that for when I go back home. But this has really been eye opening. But the biggest thing that I can tell you is if we can eliminate the hormones from our diet, find out what foods don't have hormones in it. I haven't even really been drinking soda like that, even though their soda here doesn't have the high fructose corn syrup. You know, it's been liberating to have a soda every now and again. Oh, I wish I had one of the bottles to show you. I've been doing little 12 ounce, little joints, and then I bought a 2 liter, but so much of that 2 liter is still left because I've been filling up my little 12 ounce bottle. So the discipline of changing your diet, I'm a witness. It can actually impact how this body responds. So I just wanted to give you that tidbit. We need to do whatever we can do to increase our budgets so that we can eat organic. Because a lot of that stuff that they are allowing these corporations to sell us in the supermarkets ain't good for us. It's just not. And other people from the States, when they come here, they often remark how different changes in their body happen. A lot of people, their allergies are gone out of nowhere. Other areas of pain in people's body is different. I've noticed my skin look a little different. And to be honest with you, I've been drinking more natural juices than I have water. That's why in the last couple of days I noticed, Micah, you ain't really took in no actual water. Even at the restaurant, I haven't been doing actual water. So I've been drinking more water in the last few days than I have this entire time. But even before then, just taking in that natural juice has really been sustaining me. I wonder how much weight I've gained. That's what I wonder. But let's get into the rest of our discussion. We started talking last week about minding your business. Minding your business. So that we can excel, so that we can go further in what God has given us control and rule over. And so we talked about a few reasons why kingdom businesses fail, or why kingdom businesses take a longer time to manifest and materialize into their potential, more so than anybody else. And last week we said use the error. We're misusing the weapons of our warfare. And an example I gave was when I was working for a large accounting firm, and I took my firm-issued American Express card and I invested it in a real estate business on faith that in 45 days, God's going to turn this thing around. And what God had to show me in that season of my life was user error. Like you got the right attitude in terms of, what should be used. Like you know the weapon to use. You know the tool to use, which is faith. I had the heart to jump out there and have faith. I did not have the wisdom of how to properly use that particular weapon of warfare. And faith is literally a substance. When we think about substance, I can say, where is the honey? Where is it? Well, because it's a substance, I can say the honey is right here. If you look for honey, if you want honey, the honey is right here. It's a substance. It's tangible. And so what the Word of God is telling us is that your faith, the thing that you want, is just as tangible as any substance that you can reach out and get. So he's starting out, number one, it's a substance. Well, what kind of substance is it? Well, this is glass. Okay? This is glass. This is metal and rubber. This is glass with paraffin. Okay, it's a substance. What kind of substance? Okay, faith is a substance of things hoped for. Okay. So it's a substance of what? The things that I hope for. So what do you hope for? And so we're thinking, what I hope for is that my business will excel. What I hope for is that the golden connections that I need will align with each other. I saw something by Dr. Cindy Trim earlier this week, and she decreed and declared. She said, "The Lord is whispering your name into the ear of," and I'm paraphrasing. He's whispering your name into the ear of your golden connection. And I came into agreement with that because I told you the causal realm is what causes this realm to operate. And so if everything happens in the spirit realm, and if we line up with the Lord and we are favored by the Lord, and he causes his voice to whisper our name in somebody's mind, that's when somebody just thinks about you all of a sudden. They just think you up. Y'all, we working too hard. We are working way too hard. If we do things God's way, God will shortcut us there. All we got to do is seek him first and all of his righteousness. How much of his righteousness? Oh, just the righteousness for Sunday? Just the righteousness for when I'm praying in the morning? No, all of his righteousness. And then all of these things will be added. So it's a substance of things hoped for. And then he says, when you ponder on that thing that you hope for, the very fact that you can imagine it, and when you imagine it, that is your evidence. Like when you really get into the minutia of what he is saying, that is powerful. Because he said all you have to do is but hope. Hope is releasing a prayer. Hope is releasing a vibration of desire. I said weeks ago that go in and just fire off desire. Don't be afraid to desire anything. So you desire, and then, so that's hope, giving it all, and then you ponder on that thing, and when you see it in your eye, your mind's eye, the Bible said that is your evidence. They used to say to us in school, if your mind can conceive it, then you can achieve it. True words were never spoken. That is absolutely true. If you can see it here, it can become a reality. The Wright brothers, they said, you know what? I wonder if man can fly. So it entered into their mind, and they set, and they hoped for it. They said, and obviously they hoped for it because, you know, if you ever seen it in the old videos, you know how much wood that takes to just keep going off cliffs like that and falling. Wood ain't cheap. It don't come easy. And you sitting there, and they didn't have power tools, so they had to cut them logs and stuff up to make that stuff. They had to make the equivalent of a sail or however they did it for all that. And every time they did it and it was damaged in some way, they had to do all that repair. That wasn't no easy and no small feat. And then their father was a bishop that told them that they were blasphemous and that they were going all the way to hell. But they did not stop firing off that desire. The fact that they saw it in their mind was enough evidence for them that it was going to come to pass. So we got to watch user error. That's how we're failing. We're jumping out there looking at what other people are doing, and we're not doing it right. Another example I have about that, about just copying what you see or what you think you see, copying and repeating what you hear or what you think you heard. I remember when I was a student at Morgan State, and we were fighting for the library. We were fighting for our library, and it was so many of us. So we went to encircle the state's Capitol building. So it was enough of us to put a circle around that block. When we got off the bus, all we heard on our end of the circle was library. That's all we heard was library. And I thought it didn't make sense. I was young. I was like 20 years old. I thought it didn't make sense. But I saw all the grown people saying library. And so I said, we are here for a job. We are here for a purpose. And if this is how we're executing, then this is what we're doing. And so all of us just went to screaming, library, library, library. But we didn't hear what was going on the other side of the building. And what it was a call and response. And what they were saying was, what do we want? Library. What do we need? Library. But all we heard was library. So then they had to have people kind of go through and get us together. That was an example of error. And we just jumped out there. We had the right spirit and all of that, but we were getting ready to be ineffective. We were getting ready to look like a bunch of imbeciles that were just throwing a tantrum. What we wanted to do is what we ended up doing was look unified and look like we were educated black people going down there on behalf of our black university. Because at that time, they were giving more money to the white universities, and we could see it. These were state universities. We could look at the budget and see that you ain't gave us nearly our share. So we couldn't go there and look like a bunch of buffoons. Talking about live. So where I want to pick up today is another reason why kingdom businesses fail or have lack of due diligence. Okay, due diligence to just understand how to use these weapons of warfare. I tell you, you get a student Bible, get commentary. I would recommend Joyce Meyer. Any books by Joyce Meyer, look and see what tickles your fancy. Everybody ain't gonna jive with you. Every book that everybody read ain't gonna jive with you. It's some artists that we like. We don't like every song that's on their CD. So, okay, it's the same here. Find what you're going to find interesting for you and delight yourself in it and bring up your due diligence. Joyce Meyer, I think that Dr. Juanita Bynum is good. Dr. Cindy Trim is good. T.D. Jakes is good. Just off the top of my head, these are good people. Apostle John Eckert, Apostle Jennifer LeClaire. I love her. These are people that I recommend that you read their commentaries on scripture, because just sitting there reading thus, though, and thou is boring. Let's just call it what it is. It is boring. Nobody wants to sit there and read that. You know, since we're talking about boring, since I have been here in paradise, I have not watched TV. I would watch YouTube documentaries on like religion and things like that. I have not watched television at all. Where am I going with that? When you sit down and quiet your mind and focus on what really matters. At this phase of my life, what really matters is focusing on that intangible part of myself. I've got over 25 years of having mastered the physical part. I know how to hear, see, taste, touch, and smell. I know how to do all that. What I'm just now getting into is how to discern, how to decree, how to declare, how to walk in faith, how to manifest what it is that I say based upon the word of God, how to prophesy into my life. That's what I want to do. And so if that means taking off a few programs off of my table so that when I speak, so that if I'm out in public and somebody says, can you pray for me? I'm already ready. That's how it was when I went to the prayer conference with Apostle LeClaire earlier last month. I had spent so much time praying up until that point that when we got into the worship service and she said, okay, y'all prophets, right? Y'all prophets in training. You said God called you to prophesy. Go ahead and pray. And that was it. To just be in the room full of people that were like-minded that said, I want to spend my time in prayer. Everybody's not going to be given that measure, but we all are required to spend a measure of our time fasting and praying. And whatever time that is that you set apart, build up your due diligence. Build up your due diligence. What I got here? Oh, then, also that was lack of due diligence in the spirit. Lack of due diligence in the natural. Businesses fail because we get a good idea. We jump out there and say, you know what? Somebody tell you, girl, you sure can cook. You ought to go in business. And you go in business. You start doing birthday cakes. You go in business. You start making candy. You start doing all this stuff until something happens where, okay, you're making the money. Somebody in government finds out that that's what you're doing because you put it on your tax return because you're being innocent. You said, I made money because that's your primary source of income. and you tell the government, because you know you got to file a tax return, anybody that crazy, and you file your tax return, and they gonna put a little code on there and say, what is the code for your business? And you say it's, restaurant or something. That's the closest you gonna get to food. And then they get curious, and you go through an audit, and I've seen it happen, and they say, oh, where's your license? We're gonna need to see these lists of documents so that we can corroborate your tax return. And then you say, I don't have no license. And then they slap you with a fee. And then they slap you with a fee for not paying the proper employer and employee tax. And then they slap you with the fee for not paying the $300 a year to keep your business in good standing. And then we sit back and say, this ain't a good idea to be in business. The more money you make, the more problems you get. The more money you make, the more taxes you got to pay. I don't even want to be in business. I might as well go back to work. I don't even want to get a raise either. And we start saying dumb stuff. And we start cursing the vision and the plan that God gave us. Why? Ignorance. We did not do the proper due diligence spiritually, and we did not do the proper due diligence in the natural. And it's all avoidable. Just sit down and learn up. School your gift and figure out what are all of the components that need to come together in order for that thing to be executed successfully. That leads me into we won't watch our mouth. Because as soon as a little bit of adversity come in, then we start saying, well, I don't even know why God called me to do this anyway. Maybe this ain't it for me. Maybe this is not what I want to do. I'm going to try something else. And now we got 3 and 4 different kinds of businesses that we have started and walked away from because we don't have the character required to finish and see a thing through. And why don't we have the character to finish and see a thing through? Because we're not doing our spiritual due diligence. We're not anchored enough in the things of the Spirit. We are so anchored in this earthbound circumstance. We're so anchored in our earthbound situation and problems that we don't know how to go into the causal realm and shift this realm according to what we say. Because remember, the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for who? The manifestation of the sons of God. And how should we manifest? Look at the example of Christ. That's how you manifest. It didn't take all day to cast a demon out. He said, out! And that was it. The Son of God said, out. What more for the joint heirs of Jesus Christ? But creation is waiting for us to manifest in the same light and power as the Son of God. So we won't watch our mouth. We're actually cursing and damning what God has already blessed and what is still blessed, but that blessing is only activated based upon what we breathe on it, the words that we breathe on it. Finally, as we close, the reason why kingdom businesses have a hard time reaching its potential is because we won't mind our business. We won't mind our business. What am I saying? We won't attend to the gifts that the Lord gave us. We're so busy worrying about the gifts that somebody else has. God told you to open up a daycare. Somebody 3 blocks down the road opened up a daycare. You mind their business. Oh, well, what's going to happen to mine? I got one too. Oh, that's going to really be hard for me to keep climbing. Mind your business. You know, a horse, when they had a horse that needed to be trained to go through town, they put the little blinders on the horse. Because if you didn't have any blinders, then if any slightest little thing that happened, the horse is tempted to look over. It's like that in church. As soon as the door opens, easily distracted. You won't mind your business. You won't attend to the portion that God gave you. And you're so busy looking and worrying about what everybody else is doing that you're missing your own mark. Mind the business that he gave you to steward. Attend to the business that he gave you to manage. Now, should you be aware of competition? Absolutely. Be aware of it. Know that it's there. But guess what? Did T-Mobile sit there and twiddle their thumbs and said, well, I mean, I don't know if I want to really enter in this space. I mean, you got Sprint, you got Verizon, you got AT&T. I don't really know if I want to do that because they were fairly new. Did Pepsi say, well, I don't know. I mean, we already got a strong, soft drink brand out there. Better yet, they Coca-Cola, because the first one was RC Cola. The nasty, bland RC Cola was first. Now, if that don't get your attention, I don't know what will. So you got RC Cola that's first, and then forget Pepsi, Coca-Cola. Did they say, somebody else already did that? What's that going to mean for market share? What's that going to mean for my business if I try to do it? What Coca-Cola did was they pumped money into R&D. They pumped money into research and development. How do I enhance the taste of this product? How do I keep it from being, because the original Coca-Cola, look at my face, because I'm going to tell you something. The original Coca-Cola was green. And you say, ew, but guess what? Mountain Dew, what color is that? So it's not too far-fetched, but when we associate it with Coca-Cola, that's when it becomes ill. And so they gave it a different name. But Coca-Cola did their thing. They went in there, they found out different recipes. What we got? They had that. They popped up with Mountain Dew. They popped up with all these different flavors. Then somewhere I remember when Cherry Coke came out. It must have been somewhere like in the late 80s, early 90s, because I remember my mother wanting, the commercials came on. She was like, oh, I want to try that. Yeah, I want to try that. And then along the line, Sprite came. Sprite was, of course, way before Cherry Coke. But what I want to emphasize is this: mind your business. And I'm giving you examples of companies that have been very successful at minding their business. They're not concerned with who's doing what. And you have two of the biggest companies that have the largest market share in the soft drink space, Coca-Cola and Pepsi. And they're both minding their business, and they've created brand loyalty. Don't you think that God can allow you to do the same thing in your business? Is get a certain class of people that prefer the vision that God gave you. Just like I said, we're not going to like every song that every artist puts out. We're not going to like every book that every pastor or biblical commentary or commentator. We're not going to like all their stuff. Everybody's not going to like everybody. I know I like Cheryl Brady. And for years, I thought Paula White was Cheryl Brady. And I went breaking my neck to go see Paula White, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, she's not as strong as she was that I remember. I'm not feeling her. But then I came to like Paula White a lot. But I prefer Cheryl Brady. Because Cheryl Brady got that weight. She got that real apostolic weight. And I see why, because she's a part of Bible Way, which I grew up in Bible Way. And so it was familiar. So it was part of my palate that was constructed. But somebody else that might be Episcopalian, they may not prefer the likes of a Cheryl or a Paula because they don't like all that howling. But did that stop Paula from taking speaking engagements? Did that stop Cheryl from taking speaking engagements? No. They minded the anointing. They stewarded the ministry that God gave them. And that's the biggest thing that I want to say in this two-part series is to mind your business, understanding that minding your business is simply focusing with laser focus and attention and energy and effort. Focus on what you have been given charge over. And one of my favorite examples is one of these memes I saw with one of these races that Michael Phelps was in. And it shows how the guy next to him, they were both neck and neck. I mean, they were good Olympic swimmers. And they neck and neck. And they showed the picture, just that split second. One guy looked over at Michael. And Michael, he's still just going. Michael won. By that much. That boy wasn't minding his business. He took his eye off of what he was supposed to be doing. Just like the horse. If you take your eye off, people can get hurt. The horse go looking at you up, so they said, no, you're not gonna do that. I want you to mind your business. I want you to stay focused on what's up ahead. And that's what we have to do. We have to stay focused on the task at hand. And I'll just give my testimony. I just thank God that after 2 years of laboring in a particular business, we are finally at commencement. Myself and my business partners, we have been minding our business with great diligence. And we have been putting our effort out there as if we were getting paid top dollar. We know that we will, but we have been just executing. And I believe that the Lord is pleased with that because He continues to smile on our business. So remember, I'm not telling you nothing I heard. I'm telling you what I know because it's what I'm living. God bless you, and I'll see you on Sunday morning. If I can reach the button, see you Sunday. I may not see you on Sunday. We might just keep this thing running. Why I want to shut off? Why I want to shut off? Seriously? Wow. My thing is still rolling. It is still rolling. And I don't know why. It's still counting down and everything. It's gonna be like 2 hours long. I don't want that.
Oh no, you don't know how to. You can't just power it off.
The whole everything.
There's no main login to the stream.
It's supposed to be this button. Oh. Thank you. This has never happened. Nope. While it's still on, I guess I will say something. I'm getting ready to go have a little dinner on the beach. Now they're emailing me stuff. Ready to have dinner on the beach. I've been eating a lot of seafood. And maybe that's why. Because I've definitely not been eating a lot of the beef. See, it said we live. That's my sister laughing at me.